he promised to take care of me after surgery, but left for a work trip. That was actually a romantic getaway with another woman, using my name and card while I was home alone, struggling to recover. I woke up from surgery with a dry throat and an IV drip, only to find out my boyfriend had left halfway through my hospital stay because he had a thing. That should have been the first red flag. I'm Jenna. I'm 30. I live in a small apartment with yellowing walls and a dog who refuses to poop unless there's jazz music playing. Don't ask me why. It's just become part of the routine. I had a minor thyroid surgery last week, and while it wasn't life-threatening, it still knocked me out hard. I couldn't lift anything heavier than a teacup, let alone cook, clean, or do much of anything. My boyfriend, Colby, 33, had promised he'd take care of things while I recovered. He doesn't have a full-time job, which means he had the time. And considering I've been covering our rent, groceries, and his gas for over a year now, I figured the least he could do was microwave me some soup and take out the trash. Apparently, that was too much to ask. From the moment I got home from the hospital, things felt off. He was glued to his PlayStation, yelling into his headset, half listening when I asked for help sitting down. I pointed to my prescription on the counter. He didn't even glance up. Later, when I finally asked if he could help me heat up dinner, he said, "I thought you were just gonna order something." It didn't stop there. The next day, he told me his startup team was having a last-minute retreat in the mountains. 2 nights, maybe 3. No cell service, he warned, while shoving snacks and cologne into a duffel bag I bought him for his birthday. I was still groggy, still bandaged, still trying to be understanding. So I nodded, told him to be careful. He didn't kiss me goodbye, he just left. I spent the next day in a weird fever dream haze, surviving off applesauce and ice packs, trying not to cry every time I moved too fast. My best friend Bree offered to come by, but I didn't want to admit how bad it was. I just told her I was fine. I wasn't. Then came the moment I can't stop replaying in my head. It was 11 p.m., and I couldn't sleep. My dog had already curled up next to me, snoring softly. I was scrolling mindlessly through TikTok when I saw a video pop up with the caption, "Weekend Cabin Chaos," and a familiar username had tagged someone I knew. It was Tasha, a girl I used to work with, who always seemed to pop up around Colby a little too often. I clicked out of curiosity. The video started with a roaring fireplace, some bottles of tequila, and people playing Truth or Dare in a wood-paneled living room. Then the camera panned left, and there he was. Colby, sitting on a plaid couch, shirtless, a girl with bright red hair perched comfortably on his lap. She was holding his phone. He had one arm around her waist. They were laughing. I blinked, paused, rewatched. There was no mistaking it. Same tattoo on his forearm, same dumb smirk he used to give me. The video ended with him leaning into her ear like he was whispering something. I felt sick. I opened my banking app on a whim. Maybe I just wanted proof. That's when I saw it. A charge from earlier that day. $96.75. Liquor store. His favorite one. On my card. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling like something cracked open in my chest. Like every favor, every meal, every bill I covered had led to this moment. Me, bruised and stitched together, lying alone in bed, while the man I trusted used my money to entertain someone else in a cabin. And then, like fate knew I needed one last punch to the gut, my phone buzzed with a text from Colby. "No service up here. Hope you're okay. Love you." I stared at it for a full minute. Then I replied, "Are you sure you're in the mountains?" He didn't respond. But the next message I got wasn't from him. It was from my bank. Another charge. And this time, it wasn't just liquor. It was a hotel reservation. Under my name. For 2 people. The hotel charge hit me harder than the surgery ever did. It wasn't just the amount. It was the confirmation. He didn't just lie. He used my name, my card, my address. While I was lying in bed, bandaged and drugged up on prescription painkillers, Colby was checking into a boutique hotel with another woman. And not just any hotel. I Googled it. A rustic chic couples escape spot with wood-fired hot tubs and breakfast-in-bed packages. The kind of place I had once sent him in a link with the message, "Maybe for our anniversary?" He had laughed, said it was too much money for pillows and pancakes. Apparently, it wasn't too much when I was footing the bill, and she was the one sharing the room. I wanted to throw my phone across the room, but I didn't have the strength. So instead, I just stared at the screen until it dimmed, and the reflection staring back at me looked like a stranger. Pale, tired, dumb. That night, I didn't sleep. By morning, I had a text from Colby. Just 4 words. "Heading back soon. Miss you." Miss me? I don't know what broke more, my heart or my tolerance. I didn't reply. I didn't ask questions. I didn't accuse. I just sat there in silence, nursing a warm compress and trying to piece together how long I'd been blind. How many red flags I'd painted white. He came back that afternoon, breezing in like nothing happened, tossed his duffel onto the floor, gave my dog a pat, and plopped next to me on the couch. "You okay?" he asked, cracking open a soda like this was just another Tuesday. I turned to him, calm as I could manage. "Did you have fun at your startup retreat?" He didn't flinch. "Yeah, it was chill. Good bonding time." "Cool," I said, keeping my tone flat. "Did your startup partner wear red lipstick and sit on your lap?" He froze. Just for a second. Barely noticeable. But I saw it. "What are you talking about?" he said, voice low. "I saw the video, Colby. I saw everything. And I saw the hotel charge, under my name." He laughed, like full-on laughed. "Wow, so you're spying on me now? Is this what happens when you're bored at home?" I felt something in me shift. Something small but solid. I wasn't sad anymore. I was furious. "You stole from me, lied to me. While I was recovering from surgery, you took my card and used my name to impress some girl at a hotel you once told me I wasn't worth." He rolled his eyes. "I didn't steal. I borrowed. I was gonna pay you back." "With what?" I snapped. "Your fake podcast money or your non-existent app investors? You don't even have a job." He stood up then, fast, pacing. "This is why I needed space," he said. "You're always throwing that in my face. Money, help, rent. Like I'm some kind of burden." I stared at him. "You are." That landed. He looked at me like I'd slapped him, but I wasn't done. "You know what hurts the most?" I said, standing even though my body protested. "It's not the money, or the girl, or even the lies. It's that I was so sick and you didn't care. You left me with instant noodles and heating pads while you played pretend boyfriend at a mountain hotel." Silence. Then he scoffed. Actually scoffed. "You're so dramatic. This is why I need people around me who know how to chill. You're not fun anymore, Jenna. You're comfortable, like a weighted blanket. Useful when things suck, but boring the rest of the time." My ears were ringing. I didn't even know how to process that. He turned to grab his phone from the table, and that's when it happened. A notification lit up the screen. A message preview from her. "Last night was perfect. Can't wait for next weekend." I didn't say a word. I just picked up the phone, turned it toward him, and smiled. "You know what's fun, Colby?" I said quietly. "Checking your email inbox." He blinked. "Wait, what?" I nodded toward the laptop he had left open on the counter. "You forgot to log out." His face drained of color. And that's when I hit send. The email I had drafted all night. To the hotel. To the card company. To the police. Colby just stared at me, mouth open. I said one last thing. "Good luck explaining identity fraud." I thought reporting him would be the end of it. That after I sent the email, forwarding the hotel receipt, the card charges, the screenshots, and even the video clip, he'd crawl back into whatever hole he'd climbed out of and disappear. Maybe even feel shame. But I forgot one crucial thing. Colby doesn't do quiet exits. He performs. The day after I submitted the fraud report, I blocked him on everything: phone, email, socials, even Venmo. I told my bank what happened. froze my card, filed a report with local police just to be safe. It wasn't about revenge. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was just done. That lasted exactly 48 hours. It was a Wednesday afternoon. I'd finally dragged myself back to work, still sore, but determined to pretend my life hadn't imploded. I was in the middle of answering patient emails when our front desk receptionist pinged me. "Hey, Jenna, someone's here asking for you." I froze. I hadn't told anyone at work what happened. My heart started pounding before I even stood up. I peeked out from the hallway and there he was, Colby, standing in our medical office lobby, wearing a wrinkled button-up and holding a sad bouquet of gas station roses. He looked like a budget rom-com actor caught in the wrong movie. I walked out slowly, jaw clenched. "What are you doing here?" I said through my teeth. His eyes lit up like we were old lovers reunited in a Hallmark film. "Hey, you look good." "I filed a report against you." He flinched. "I know. That's why I'm here." Before I could say anything, he lowered his voice. "Can we talk outside, please?" I shouldn't have followed him, but part of me was afraid he'd start making a scene in front of patients. So I stepped out, just past the front entrance. The moment the glass door shut, the mask dropped. "You really had to go to the cops?" he hissed. I blinked. "You stole my identity, and my money. What did you expect?" "I expected you to act like someone who loved me, not someone out for blood." I almost laughed. "You used me, Colby, for months. Lied to me, cheated on me while I was on bed rest. This isn't about love. This is about consequences." His face twisted. He dropped the flowers onto the concrete. "Do you know what you've done? You've ruined my chances of getting funding. My name's flagged now. Nobody wants to work with someone under investigation." "Maybe don't commit fraud next time." He took a step closer. Too close. "You think you're better than me?" He spat. "You think you're some moral angel just because you've got your little office job and your basic apartment?" I stepped back. "Leave, now." He didn't move, just stared at me, breathing heavy, like he couldn't decide if he wanted to scream or cry. And then, suddenly, he leaned in and said it so quietly I almost missed it. "You better be careful what you start." It wasn't just a threat, it was a promise. I turned and walked straight back into the office, heart pounding like a drum. I told the front desk to call security. He left before they arrived, but not before flipping off the glass doors like a child being sent home from detention. I thought that would be the worst of it. I was wrong. Later that night, I got a call from my bank. A new charge had been attempted under my name. It was denied, flagged instantly, thanks to the fraud alert I'd set up. But here's the part that made my blood run cold. The order was for a bouquet, sent to my work address, with a note that said, "You wanted a reaction. Here it comes." I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I opened my front door and froze. There was a single item on my welcome mat. Not a letter, not more flowers, not even something broken. It was my dog's collar, the one he hadn't worn since I bought a new one, weeks ago. I checked every lock, called building security, called the police again. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about heartbreak anymore. It was about fear. I didn't sleep for 2 nights after finding my dog's old collar on my doorstep. I checked the locks 5 times an hour. Slept with the lights on. Every creak in the hallway sent my heart into my throat. I even set a mug of coins on the doorknob, like some paranoid booby trap from a low-budget spy movie. It was ridiculous, but it made me feel not safe exactly, just less helpless. Colby had officially crossed the line from man-child X to unhinged, and I was done playing defense. That morning, I put on my work clothes like armor, pulled my hair back, spritzed perfume that smelled like steel and citrus in spite. Then I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and started digging. See, Colby had this little obsession with image. He didn't have a real job, but he'd built a whole personality around being a founder. He called it a startup, some half-baked app idea about streamlining roommate communication. He had a website, social bios, even a pinned tweet saying, "Funding secured. More news soon." Total fiction. But he told enough people the same lie that some of them started to believe it. I remembered once, months ago, he asked to use my laptop when his was updating. Said he needed to email a potential investor. I'd been too tired to care. I never checked the history. Until now. And guess what? He never logged out of his email. It was all still there. Pitches, fake term sheets, doctored screenshots of investor chats. He'd sent fake confirmations to people. Even sent one to me, months ago, when I asked why he wasn't paying rent. He pretended an angel investor froze the funds. There it was. In his drafts folder. Still unedited. That's when it hit me. He wasn't just scamming me. He'd scammed other people too. And one of them had a name I recognized. Her name was Kylie, a girl I'd met briefly at a networking mixer last fall. She worked in legal compliance for small businesses. And I remembered her because she gave me her card and said, "If anyone ever tries to pitch you something shady, call me. It happens more than you'd think." So I did. I sent her screenshots, explained everything, how he used my card, booked hotels in my name, and possibly faked investor documents. She didn't say much at first, just listened. Then she said, "You did the right thing, and he picked the wrong girl to mess with." It felt like someone had put oxygen back in my lungs. By the next day, she'd looped in her team. Turns out Colby had used Kylie's firm's name in one of the fake pitches, claiming they were reviewing his contracts, which meant now they had a reason to act. Meanwhile, Colby was still spiraling. He tried emailing me from a burner account, said he was just trying to scare me a little, that I brought this on myself by reporting him. Then he made the mistake of messaging Bree, my best friend, asking if she could talk some sense into me. She replied with 2 words, "Cease contact," then blocked him. But here's where it gets wild. That Friday, I got an email from a guy named Trevor. He said he was Colby's co-founder. I didn't even know Colby had a co-founder. Trevor had seen the same fake documents, had sunk $3,000 into Colby's so-called startup. And now, after seeing some of the screenshots I posted anonymously in a legal Reddit thread, he'd connected the dots. He wanted to talk. We met in a public coffee shop. He was older than I expected, quiet, kind. Showed me messages where Colby promised him returns, contracts, even bragged about me, how I bankrolled him. I wanted to throw up, but I didn't. I told Trevor everything, showed him the email chain with Kylie's firm. By the end, he looked stunned, then angry, then calm. "I think we should go to the police together," he said, "but I'll do you one better." He reached into his bag and pulled out Colby's old MacBook, the one Trevor had bought him 6 months ago to work on the app. "It's still logged in," he said. "Everything's on here." I blinked, waited. And then he said, "Would you like to help me press formal charges for fraud, identity theft, and investor deception?" I smiled. Not because it was over, but because it had just begun. The last time I saw Colby, he was sitting on the curb outside the police station, hands buried in his hair, rocking slightly, like the world had finally caught up to him. It didn't happen overnight. After Trevor and I met, everything moved in slow, deliberate steps. Kylie's firm launched a full investigation, and with Trevor's help, they pieced together a timeline of Colby's lies, false investor claims, misused funds, fake documents, and multiple identity-related infractions. The cherry on top? Colby had forged Trevor's signature on a fake investor agreement, just bold enough to tip the whole thing from shady into criminal. We handed over the laptop, emails, texts, receipts. The evidence piled up fast. It wasn't just about me anymore. There were 2 other women he'd convinced to loan him money for equity. One had already filed a small claims case. The other had tried to confront him. He ghosted her after she asked for receipts. It turned out Colby wasn't just a jerk. He was a scammer. And he was sloppy. About 3 weeks after we submitted the full case file, the police finally called me. They had questions. I answered all of them. They asked if I wanted to press charges for the credit card fraud. I said yes. I'd hesitated at first, not because I pitied him, but because I didn't want to spend one more minute of my life tangled up in his mess. But something Bree had told me kept echoing in my head. If you don't hold him accountable, he'll just do it to someone else. So I did. And I'm glad I did. He was arrested at his friend's apartment, the one he'd been couch surfing at ever since he got banned from my building. According to the officer I spoke with, he didn't even argue, just kept saying, "This is a mistake. She's overreacting. I didn't mean to hurt anyone." Classic Colby. The charges weren't glamorous. Misuse of identity, financial deception, and a few counts of fraud-related activity. But they stuck, and they were enough to ruin the image he tried so hard to build. His startup page? Gone. His socials? Wiped clean. His investors? Demanding refunds he never had the money to give. One of our old mutual friends messaged me not long after saying, "I honestly didn't believe you at first, but now I see it. I'm sorry." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Closure doesn't always come wrapped with an apology. Sometimes it looks like a legal case number and a clean bank account. Sometimes it's knowing you'll never hear, "Hey, can I borrow your card real quick?" ever again. And sometimes it's as simple as taking your dog for a walk without checking over your shoulder. That's what I'm doing more now, breathing, sleeping through the night, laughing with Bree about dumb reality shows, calling my mom just to talk, not to cry. I even bought a new set of kitchen knives, bright teal, sharp, and fully mine. Colby hasn't tried to contact me again. The restraining order probably helps. I heard from Trevor that Colby's trying to negotiate a deal, something about community service and restitution, but honestly, I don't care. Let the justice system deal with him. I've done my part. This isn't a revenge story, not really. It's a survival story. It's what happens when you stop explaining yourself, stop shrinking to make someone else feel bigger. It's about reclaiming your voice, one painful, necessary step at a time. I'm not proud of every moment. I wish I'd seen the signs sooner. I wish I'd walked away the first time he laughed while I was crying. But I didn't. And now I have. I don't know what comes next, but I know what doesn't. Him. So if you've ever felt like someone was chipping away at you piece by piece, making you question what you deserve, please know this. You don't have to wait until it gets unbearable. You're allowed to walk away. You're allowed to fight back. And when you do, it's not weakness, it's power. If you've ever been through something like this, or if you've ever had to rebuild yourself from scratch, comment 2 below so I know I'm not alone. And if this story hit home for you, consider subscribing. I'll be here. Healing one day at a time.